Can a 12-panel slide-out solar roof completely charge a 100 kilowatt-hour EV/RV? In this video, I break down the ultimate packaging concept and raw math behind a custom solar-powered hybrid camper. This is pure engineering and weight balance analysis using real-world N-Type TOPCon/ABC solar technology. Quick solar math. Total panels: 12 rigid modules measuring 1,650 millimeters, 64.9 inches, by 993 millimeters, 39.1 inches, in a 3-level draw setup. Max peak power: 4.02 kilowatt peak, which is 335 watts per panel. Smart setup: half-cut cells plus 3 or 4 separate MPPT regulators to eliminate shade bottlenecks. Daily energy yield and charge times: comfortable zone 52 degrees north, approximately 18.1 kilowatt hours per day. This equals 5.5 days for a full 100 kilowatt hour charge. This adds 60 kilometers, 37.3 miles of free daily range. Hot zone 20 to 30 degrees north or south, approximately 28.1 kilowatt hours per day. This equals 3.5 days for a full 100 kilowatt hour charge. This adds 93 kilometers, 57.8 miles of free daily range. Thermal loss: panels hit 75 to 80 degrees Celsius, 167 to 176 degrees Fahrenheit, losing 8 to 10% peak power at noon, but longer hours still yield 55% more net energy than comfortable zones. Weight and mechanical specs: single draw weight, approximately 63 kilograms, 138.8 pounds. Rail spec: heavy-duty 4-section super extension rails measuring 2,000 millimeters, 78.7 inches, closed and 2,200 millimeters, 86.6 inches, extended. 150 kilograms, 330.6 pounds. Capacity ensures a 2.4 safety factor. Total roof weight: approximately 390 kilograms, 859.8 pounds. Requires heavy structural reinforcement to the chassis. Critical bottlenecks. Critical bottlenecks involve wire abrasion, connector fatigue, the sail effect when parked, and altered driving dynamics due to high roof weight. You can find all the detailed engineering calculations in the description below the video. This 4-person camper concept has a rather standard layout. 2 double beds are located in the rear, arranged crosswise. The lower bed measures 200 centimeters, 78.7 inches, by 140 centimeters, 55.1 inches. The upper bed measures 195 centimeters, 76.8 inches, by 140 centimeters, 55.1 inches. This is made possible by the vehicle width of 2,100 millimeters, 82.7 inches. For comparison, the Fiat Ducato Ram ProMaster is 2,050 millimeters, 80.7 inches wide. I assumed the walls would be 55 millimeters, 2.1 inches thick. The outer panel is 2 millimeters, 0.08 inches of aluminum, followed by 50 millimeters, 12.7 inches of insulation, and a 3 millimeter, 0.12 inch plastic inner panel. There is a space of 61 centimeters, 24 inches above the beds. Between the cooker and the bathroom there is 60 centimeters, 23.6 inches. The rear door opens upward and the tailgate opens independently downward. The front seats are positioned directly over the engine bay. Yes, the concept assumes a hybrid setup with a small 2.0 diesel engine up front. The driver sits just like in a passenger car, meaning the engine stays completely under the floor. 2 overhead cabinets, each 1 meter, 39.4 inches long, are suspended below the ceiling. Between the front and rear seats there are storage compartments for the engine starting battery, the house battery, and other electrical equipment. The urine separating toilet is located inside the shower and can be slid away under the lower bed, right in front of the rear left wheel arch. Looking at the longitudinal section, there is additional usable space right under the rear seats. The rear beds can be folded up and used as a seating area. There is separate access to the boot and to the living quarters. The chassis. I decided on a hybrid drivetrain, but I completely separated the combustion drive from the electric drive. The goal is for these two systems to operate independently, even if one of them fails. Plus, we have a simple 4x4 system here, which is highly practical for a heavy van running on small wheels. So, here is what we have. A front drive unit with front suspension, a 100 kilowatt-hour traction battery, a 100-litre, 26.4-gallon fresh water tank, a 100-litre, 26.4-gallon wastewater tank, and a rear drive unit with rear suspension. The front suspension uses double wishbones with a coil spring and a shock absorber mounted on the lower control arm. This layout frees up space above the wheel, though it creates higher spring loads on the frame, which requires structural reinforcement. The commonly used McPherson strut suspension does not have this downside, but it will not work here because it is too tall. McPherson strut would intrude right into the driver and passenger footwell. One alternative would be a similar setup but using a coil-over shock absorber like the one found in a Mitsubishi L200, but I decided against it. It requires reinforcing the frame higher up, and replacing the spring or shock absorber requires specialized tools. The lower control arms are bolted to a subframe, which also serves as the mounting point for the front combustion drive unit. The rear suspension is a Dedian axle. It acts like a live axle, but with the differential mounted outside the housing. Standard live axle, while much simpler, was out of the question because it would require raising the floor of this camper by about 15 centimeters, 5.9 inches. Thanks to a suspension setup with a separated stationary differential, we get a floor surface height of 54 centimeters, 21.3 inches, above the ground, with 4 centimeters, 1.6 inches, of that being insulation and flooring. This suspension is located by trailing arms, known as radius arms, similar to the setup in many off-roaders and Japanese kei cars. I had to use coil springs instead of leaf springs. This is because leaf springs require space behind the axle. That would force the rear axle forward, which would reduce the space available for the traction battery. On the other hand, extending the body further back would increase total weight. Positioned in front of the rear axle is the electric drive unit, meaning either 1 or 2 electric motors, along with a single-speed gearbox and a differential. Vehicle this small in a 4-person version would only be suitable for short trips or some light overlanding. However, the 2-person version can offer quite a lot of space, maybe not for full-time van life, but certainly for longer journeys. In the 2-person version, I did some remodeling. The bed remained in the back, but I moved the shower to the opposite side, positioning its longer side along the length of the vehicle. Thanks to this, there will be 75 centimeters, 29.5 inches, between the kitchen and the shower. The kitchen has been moved to the left side and extended from 100 centimeters, 39.4 inches, to 160 centimeters, 63 inches. The upper cabinets have been elongated in a similar way. However, you lose the space that was under the rear seats. I only left a small step. In this version as well, you can fold the rear bed and use it as a seating area. Summary. The camper is equipped with a 100 kilowatt-hour traction battery, providing a range of about 300 kilometers, 186.4 miles. It can be charged using solar power, but in the comfortable regions of the world, this will take at least 5.5 days in the summer, or at least 3.5 days in hot regions. In reality, a hybrid drivetrain with a small diesel engine is required. The weights of the necessary equipment break down as follows: 2 solar arrays on the roof, 400 kilograms, 881.8 pounds, 100 kilowatt-hour traction battery, 600 kilograms, 1,322.8 pounds, electric drive unit, 150 kilograms, 330.7 pounds, fresh water, 100 kilograms, 220.5 pounds, lightweight camper build, 200 kilograms, 440.9 pounds, 4 passengers and luggage, 500 kilograms, 1,102.3 pounds. Together we have 1,950 kilograms, 4,299 pounds. To stay under 3,500 kilograms, 8,716.2 pounds. That leaves 1,550 kilograms, 3,417.2 pounds, for the vehicle itself, which is unrealistic. However, the EU adopted Directive EU 2025/2205, stating that campers with a gross vehicle weight up to 4,250 kilograms, 9,369.7 pounds, both combustion and hybrid, can be driven with a standard Category B passenger car license. Therefore, 4,250 kilograms minus 1,950 kilograms leaves 2,300 kilograms, 5,070.6 pounds, of curb weight, which is easily achievable for a combustion-powered commercial diesel van.